Great to have you with us. In our first story, the 2020 Basic Education Certificate examination has begun in earnest, with many candidates very optimistic of their performance. My colleagues Inathalia Kwanzaa and Martina Bugwi have been interacting with some students prior to their first paper on their preparedness.
Okay. My name is Raymond Kaitini, final year student, BC 2020. I can say we are fully prepared for these exams, no matter what we are meeting. Because for all the 3 years of studies, we are sure that our God will guide us through this paper, and nothing can stop us.
What did you do that makes you confident that you will pass?
We solved all past questions, possible questions, and all mock papers from our colleagues and others from other schools.
There was a break and you came back to school. Did it affect you in any way?
I don't think so. We were studying at home.
Because once I was in the house, I was learning because I knew I was to write an exam, so I didn't leave my books aside.
I see. So what did you do different?
I started learning hard because this has been one of my external exams I'm to write. I've never written an external exam, so I was well prepared so that I can pass well and get to this.
What's your name?
Adoshaku Hafsa from Springfield Academy.
Now, in the Northeast region, however, a gentleman was arrested by police for attempting to smuggle foreign materials to some students. Ilyasu Tanko joins us with more. Ilyasu, tell us about this incident at the center you visited.
Well, this incident happened at the Waliwali Senior High School here in the Northeast region, where about 6 schools are writing the BECE, and the BNI officer arrested this gentleman. According to the details, this gentleman came there. He's a former student anyway of that school, and he came to the senior high school. According to the BNI, he came with 3 other colleagues, and they were arrested. The gentleman was having his possession some foreign materials that he attempted to give to some of the candidates. As we speak, the gentleman has been handed over to the police, who are currently detaining him at the center there.
Right. Have the police told us anything about the incident?
Well, the police are detaining this gentleman. They said they will take him to their office for further investigation.
Ilyasu, thank you very much for those updates from the Northeast region. The latest being that a man has been arrested for attempting to smuggle in some foreign materials into the exam hall. To the Volta Regional Capital, where Ivy Setoji reports that the examination started smoothly until one of the female candidates has had what her father described as a spiritual attack, resulting in the manifestation of some unknown spirits. Speaking to JoyNews, the father of the girl said the problem started this morning when they were leaving the house for the examination center at Mauli Senior High School. Ivy Setoji joins us live with more. Ivy, what exactly happened?
So I got to the Mauli school, senior high school, where they were writing exams, and getting there, we saw a young girl, female student, being possessed, and the father said it was spiritual, that this thing started for some time now. This morning when they were leaving the house, it took him a lot of trouble to carry the student to the campus for the exam. And that's been like that according to the father. And so what happened was they had to relocate her to a shed opposite the exam hall before she was able to sit down for a while. Prayers were said by the father, who is also a prophet, and some family members before she was able to start the exam. So she started the exam, started writing the exam before let's come.
Ivy, I want you to describe what the girl did for me. Did she shout in the middle of the examination? Did she fall on the ground? What exactly happened?
Yeah, so she, when you go to church, you see how people fall on the ground under the influence of some sort of spirit. That was what was happening to the girl. I think she was trying to say something. She was shouting. People were trying to hold her. The father was also there to hold her. And at the point, they used some herbs to put in her mouth. and used the rest to put on her head and then spray it all over her chest.
And this was after the paper had begun. This was during the examination.
Yes, this was before the exam even started. Okay, so they moved her to outside under a shed opposite the examination hall, and she started again, and a help was brought for the father to do all this before. After some 10 minutes, I asked her if she was okay. She said yes, that she was going to try to write the exam. And while she was writing the exam, the family members were there praying for her, and just at her back, and the supervisors were also there to supervise.
Right. Let's now hear from the father of this girl.
Bobo confess na. Be ayenye enonye. No bia. Asema kwa winter confess me.
Okay.
Ta na mi church always ya Bobo confess na. And no kubai. That before me badge no dog. That confess be you no. Ayibi awudedia. Eta me bula be ma to chule primary ayide JSS. Aka me be yige, ayi JSS na. No be ma ngun bi si ame be ngun. That before me achula ko na menye vini wala ko. Afi me kwe da mutu. Ni bi moji. Abi agire mutu aji. No bona mo be ma go. Ka Yesu leaders. Kaka mi ba do fi ame to mutoko oboga ko le mutaji ko do gbe mi ba le kini o da kaka wa se fifia ta mi ado ma wule ta do pa no.
Now, in a related development, residents living along the Waliwalikbarigu Road in the Northeast region are asking governments to fulfill its year of road promise by constructing the road linking their community to the municipal capital. The residents say the deplorable nature of the road has worsened their living conditions as they are unable to access healthcare, education, market centers, and others. They believe the construction of the Waliwalikbarigu Road will bring an end to the rampant robbery attacks on traders and other commuters. They also say it will help farmers in transporting their farm produce safely and timely. Some of them spoke to my colleague, Elias Tanko.
The nature of our road is causing loss of suffering to us, tricycle drivers and other vehicles, as we are unable to freely move and even transport patients to the hospital. So we are pleading with them to fix the road for us.
Swalma is the many Saimi to Motokulan to
Anytime it rains, the road is cut off and in more trouble. This is the main road to our community, yet it is in bad shape for years. So we are appealing for it to be fixed.
Politicians, you hunt you. Politicians come Okuyina, where my electric and to Kuzang Malagi.
Politicians have been deceiving us all these years about this road. We are truly suffering. People have been drawn on this road, and anytime it rains, we are unable to use the road. So we are begging for it to be fixed. We are unable to go to market in Walwali and other communities because the road would always be flooded when it rains.
The disturb no sheba bambara and no bambara mutu baby. As she will deal dasi. And so we can down kunan the name and Amedan kuna. Shake it you hala soul money. A one way a motor machine, use a machine, shake a sam. So, Baho Pama and Kamba Surman.
Now, security has been beefed up at the house of the late University of Ghana law lecturer, Professor Bene, who was murdered over the weekend. 4 domestic staff have been arrested in connection with the suspected killing this morning. JoyNews' Mamiesi Nyambishe Thompson reports dozens of police officers were seen cordoning off the crime scene. She joins us live with the latest. Now, before we speak to Mamiesi though, let's bring you a chronology of unresolved and recent murders in the country. Right, we'll bring you that chronology in just a moment. Mamiesi, did you say the police were cordoning off the crime scene this morning, more than 48 hours after the crime itself occurred?
Exactly, Daniel. As we speak, the team of investigators from the police CID have left the residence of the late Professor Bene. Investigators, numbering about 15, were harvesting clues to unravel the mystery behind the killing of the late professor. I observed them collecting evidence such as fingerprints. They were checking the rooms and almost scaling most of the professor's mansion, Daniel.
Right. We understand all the domestic workers who used to work with Prof. Bene have also been picked up by the police.
So what we understand is that 4 persons were picked up on Saturday. And as we speak, I know that these 4 persons work closely with the professor, but they are still assisting the police CID in investigations. So they have not been released yet, but as time goes on, we'll know the decision that the police takes on that issue.
Finally, Mamiesi, earlier when you were speaking to Bernice on News Desk, you mentioned that at the time there was no police official there. What time did these investigators arrive?
So I got there roughly around 9:30 a.m. and I established the area. There was no police officer. In fact, the house was empty. All I saw were chairs that were packed from, I think, yesterday, when some members of the family sat. This morning, I saw 3 of the professor's vehicles parked in the house with some chairs from leftover from yesterday's meeting and a couple of canopies. So about 10:15 a.m., while on news desk, I saw a team of police officers coming in with Land Cruisers to the area. As soon as they got there, they told us, instructed us to move away from the residence. They cordoned off the area and then immediately started, doing their work. Let me put it that way. So they entered the residence and then started harvesting for their clues.
But, Mamiesi, these chairs that we see on the screen now with this canopy, these were family members who organized sort of a gathering in the crime scene yesterday.
Yes, I would say so. So, Daniel, those were some of the chairs, 5 plastic chairs, and then other chairs we could tell from the residents that were used for yesterday's gathering.
Thank you very much, Mamiesi Nyambishe Thompson, for joining us with those updates. And it's your election headquarters. Vice presidential candidate for the National Democratic Congress, Professor Nana Jane Agyemang, has begun her 2nd day of the tour of the Western region to formally introduce herself to the people of the region and seek their mandate in the upcoming general election. Professor Nana Agyemang, while in the Western region, is expected to have a series of meetings with the general public and some selected groups. Correspondent Nathalia Kwanta is with the team and joins us with more. Which parts of the Western region has the candidate visited?
Yes, Daniel. So yesterday, she did take a call on the Omani of Escado, Nana Kwabnanketia. From today, she has met the clergy and then she has discussed with them that they want to collaborate with them so that they could have a peaceful election. There's also been outlining some of the policies in their manifesto to the clergy. The clergy, led by Bishop Daniel Brave, accepted the speech and said that for them, they would work with anyone who would come into power, but they want the political parties to ensure the people of Ghana that everything is going to be peaceful. Daniel, right now we are at the secondary market where she has met with some traders. From here, we are going to the regional House of Peace.
Right. And Natalia, how has the reception been since her arrival?
Daniel, can you come again?
How has the reception been since her arrival?
Daniel, there are a lot of people here crowded in the NDC t-shirts, Lacoste shirts. A lot of them, most of them I see are women. We are right now around the Fishing Harbour here in Sekondi.
Right. And Natalia, thank you very much for those updates from the trip of the vice presidential candidates for the NDC. You're live on Joy News today. Now, presidential candidate for the Convention People's Party, CPP, Ivor Kobna Green Street, says President Akufo-Addo must immediately reverse the Ejapa royalties agreement, which he describes as a theft of our resources. Mr. Green Street says a CPP administration would not only review the arrangement, it would also look into the agreements between the existing mining companies and government. Government's decision to form a special purpose vehicle to hold 75% of the mining royalties of some major mining concessions and float 49% of this SPV shares on a stock exchange has been criticized by many, including civil society. Ivor Green Street says it reveals a wrong mentality towards the management of natural resources in Ghana.
The policy of the party is that we would even review, first of all, through Parliament, renegotiate all contracts we have with these mining enterprises. Because for us, what we're even currently getting is a shocking pittance for what we should be getting for our gold reserves. And it is that pittance which they are selling future for a number of years. And therefore we're tied into a future transaction, which could be another potential bad debt should a successive government try and make an alternative arrangement. So that under no circumstances should that transaction be allowed to go through. It is just similar to the contracts that exist in the oil sector. Currently we run this royalties hybrid system of collecting royalties and taxes from the oil. But if we were to run what's called the production sharing formula, which is run in Nigeria, is run in Senegal, is run in other African countries, from our oil resources, we'd have been earning more than 5 or 6 billion more in revenue than we're getting from these royalties and taxes. Those are funds we could be utilizing to develop our bauxite resources rather than borrowing from China. Those are funds we could be using to enhance the level of our quality of our education and extending it further to even tertiary level. But we believe rather we should focus on how much we can generate from our resources now by better contractual arrangements with those multinationals who are engaged in those processes, rather than tying successive generations to this arrangement, which to us is an aberration, and we call upon it once again.
We can't say it's corrupt with all fairness, can we?
Well, it is a form of corruption, which is a theft of hope, a theft of future opportunity, a theft of a potential for a nation to fully be able to utilize its resources, its God-given resources, for the benefit of its people. That is a sickness that is at the heart of this transaction. And that is why we would wish that the president, who, whether we like it or not, it is like PDS, would withdraw this transaction back. The females I admire are females who fight hard against the men and succeed. So recently we had a Congress, a female fought hard and got elected to become the General Secretary. A female fought hard to become elected as the chairman and leader. This is an appointment as a running mate. Yes, we're all well and good. Yes, Prof is a very well qualified person and up to the task, a former minister. But there are so many women who fight hard to even become elected as parliamentary candidates. And there's so many strong women, both in the NDC and the MPP and other parties, who fight. And those are the ones and the kinds of situation we should admire. And it is more opportunities for females to be contesting and not to be given things as though it's some sort of charity or a handout. Oh, yes. Well, I see it as a gimmick to try and make them look relevant and to try and make the ticket look attractive. And certainly, I'm sure it will add some vibrancy to their ticket. And then clearly you can see that she's active, moving around with the campaign. And that is the strategy that they have attempted to employ. And so well, let's see whether it will work for them. I hope it doesn't.
So live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Dazi. We'll take a few messages. When we come back, it's time for sports.
Let's now do a brief dose of sport here on Joy News today. Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson, says DK Poison had a positive impact on his rise to prominence in the sport. Now, Azuma, who was a gym mate and sparring partner of DK Poison at the Akotoku Academy in Accra, where his trainer, Atukwe Clotte, was the head trainer, talks about how the legend's win of Ghana's first boxing world title changed his mindset. This is a highlight of the upcoming documentary, The Boxing Loan.
You know, when DK Poison, he opened the way, he showed us the way that, I mean, we can be a world champion, you know. So, because, as you know, nobody has become a world champion in this country. So, and because nobody believed that, I mean, there will be a world champion. One day we'll have a world champion here. So when he became world champion, we all know that, okay, if he can become a world champion, we too, we can, you know. So it means when we train hard and we focus like what he did, we can achieve and what he has achieved, you know. So for me, he gave me a lot of encouragement, you know, in my life, you know. So I said he's the way opener, you know. So I cannot forget DK Poison until I die.
Wow.
You know, I like to thank him for the encouragement and the love that they have for me, you know. So I'm with him.
Well, let's talk some football now. And club licensing manager of the Ghana FA, Mr. Emmanuel Newton Dasobere, has resigned. Now, he's expected to be named the administrative and operations manager of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Here's a report by Joy Sports.
Dasobere, who doubles as Deputy Secretary General in charge of administration at the football governing body, tendered his resignation to Secretary General Prosper Harrisnado on Monday with immediate effect. This is after he accepted an offer from Ghana Premier League side Asante Kotoko. He joins the Porcupine Warriors as their new administrative and operations manager following the signing of a permanent contract over the weekend. Dasobere's decision to leave GFA after over 10 years of service, where he rose to become FIFA and CAF club licensing manager to join the record Ghana Premier League champions, became untenable when the chief of staff of Menchia, Kofi Bodu, called him in May this year. This was before the current board was constituted. Sources say he saw the call as a service to the Asantehene, which he could not turn down. Kotoko Chief Executive Officer Nanaya Amponsa saw through the process successfully, tabling an offer which was accepted last month before the two parties signed the documents on Sunday. He is expected to start work on Tuesday.
Many more similarly exciting stories when I bring you sports today exactly at 2 p.m. right here on this channel. In the meantime, JoyNews Today continues, and of course world news comes up, and a dose of showbiz as well. You stay right there. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews Today. Now, musician cum politician Kwame Asare-Obeng, aka A+, has revealed that he lost a boss contract after he criticized the Akufo-Addo government. The controversial singer said he has regretted campaigning for the NPP. He spoke to George Quay on Showbiz A to Z.
Did they bring the requirements? Those people, are they the ones who gave me a requirement for the job?
What exactly were you doing at boss?
Haulage of fuel, and they give you a requirement at boss that we want A, B, C, D.
So you just follow through.
I'm not qualified. Are you the one who?
Why did they take it away from you?
Oh, because I was accusing people of corruption and all, and they don't like it like that. That is Ghana. Once you have a job, keep quiet and chop, like I've said to you already. And it is very wrong. We cannot live in such a society. People must be free.
So are you saying that, in your opinion, you feel people are given political positions just to silence them or to satisfy them for supporting the party?
And that is why they see right and wrong through political lenses. When they are in opposition, John Mahama has 87 ministers, and that is what is going to kill the whole Ghana. But when they come to power and Akufo-Addo has 125, it is normal. Just because now they have a job, they cannot talk. I want to spend the rest of my life fighting NDC and NPP. If that is how I die, it's fine. But this system...
You have gone somewhere that I find interesting. You want to spend the rest of your life fighting NDC and NPP. Are you not NPP?
No. I used to sympathize with NPP. In President Kufuor's time, if you remember, in 2007, I did Obi Nkasi.
Okay, I remember. So it was from 2012 then?
It was from 2008.
Okay.
Yes, when I supported Nana Addo Dankwa.
Okay.
But what I have noticed is that we live in a country where NDC and MPP are the same. And it is the fact, even though they don't want to hear it, that is the fact.